Find ourselves beginning on page 192, and it is our honor to call forward those to open up the Aron HaKodesh, the Ark doors, and to help us remove the Sifrei Torah, to present them for us to the community as we begin to study the Torah this morning. And as we turn to page 192, the Ark doors will be open, and when they are open, we ask everyone to rise.
Ein kamocha v'Elohim Adonai ve'en k'ma'asecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai melech le'olam va'ed Adonai oz le'amo yitein Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom Al-Harachamim heitiva v'ritzoncha et Zion tivenei chomot Yerushalayim tivenei chomot Yerushalayim Kinecha levad bataknu melech el ram v'nisa Adon olamim Vayehi vinso Aharon Vayomer Moshe Koma Adonai Ve'yavutzu moedecha Ve'yanushu misanecha mifanecha Ki Zion Teitzei Torah Ki Mitzion Teitzei Torah Udevar Adonai Mirushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'nushato Adonai Adonai El Rachum V'Chanun Erech Apayim V'Rav Chesed V'Emet Notzer Chesed L'Alafim Nosei Avon V'Afesha V'Chata V'Nakei Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum V'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed V'Emet, Notzer Chesed L'Alafim, Nosei Avon V'Afesha V'Chata Tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon אלוהים ברוב חסדיך ענני ענני באמת אישך ואני תפילתי תפילתי לך
Adonai, et ratzon, Elohim,
ברוב חסדיך ענני ענני באמת אישך ואני תפילתי תפילתי לך אדוני את רצון אלוהים ברוב חסדיך ענני ענני באמת אישך שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
אחד אלוהינו גדול אדוננו קדוש ונורא שמע גדלו לאדוני איתי ונרוממו שמו יקדוש לך אדוני הגדולה הגבורה והתפארת לך אדוני הגדולה והנצח וההוד לך אדוני הגדולה הגבורה והתפארת לך אדוני הגדולה והנצח וההוד גיבור בשמיים ובארץ לך אדוני המלאכה לך אדוני הגדולה
V'hagura
והתפארת לך אדוני הגדולה והנצח וההוד רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו לאדון רגליו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו כי קדוש אדוני
I'm excited. Yes.
כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו
That you were like,
והשתחוו לאדון רגליו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו
Good morning, everyone. You can take your seats. We invite those who've been honored with an aliyah this morning to please make your way forward, take seats anywhere here up on the bima or behind in the choir loft and the bullpen, as we say. Come and take your seats. There are many theories about why we study this particular Torah reading on the holidays. I think probably the most boring and direct understanding is that this is really the next chapter that follows from what we read yesterday, which was really not about Hagar and not about Abraham's response to Hagar, but it was really about those very first lines in which we hear the command of Abraham to circumcise his son Isaac. And in that moment, there is this sort of covenantal moment, but it's also a creative moment. And as we celebrate on Rosh Hashanah, these concepts of creation, of renewing the world, it's a very powerful idea that continues to flow through the entire holiday about where we as individuals, as a community, as a people, create something anew as we celebrate the creation of the world, creation of our understanding of society and civilization that we celebrate during these holidays. It begins with that one profound moment in which Abraham makes a choice to bring his child into a world without his own choice, without his own decision. And as we read the text today, that complexity continues to unfold. And we know this because when we stand in our prayers, and if you think about that, we say Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov. And I think we can probably pretty easily identify the God of Abraham and the relationship of Abraham. And if we study the text today, we're going to be challenged by the God of Abraham that calls upon him to take his son and offer him up as a sacrifice. That's the text that we're going to be reading today. And we can read about the story of Jacob. We are called Yisrael, the ones who struggle with God, because that is the name that Jacob takes upon himself, is given to him, and he takes upon himself after his encounter with the divine presence. And he understands that his own being is not complete without some kind of wrestling or grappling with the source of everything and becoming a part of the unfolding drama that is known as God. But Isaac, it's very hard for us to identify. We know that God reveals God's self to Isaac in the wilderness as he's traveling with his family, just like his father did, and is digging wells just like his father did. But where is the moment when Isaac really discovers God? When you study the text very carefully, it's not so clear. It's not that Isaac has these profound moments like Abraham does. Go to a land that I will show you. Or that Jacob has in the wrestling with this angel and divine being and says that he won't let this divine being go until he is given a blessing. These are things that we can attach to, but Isaac is kind of left in between. So maybe when we read this text today, is there something that reveals Isaac's God to us that we are meant to understand on these holy days? And to use that connection when we stand in our own prayers and we say, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, when we say the God of Isaac, this too is the God that we are praying to. So I want to share one thing. This is powerful and tragic and very important language from our Israeli brothers and sisters, artists and thinkers, who have grappled with their own sense of identity as they reestablish the land for the entire Jewish people. Chaim Guri is one of those great artists, poets, and thinkers. And they know that through war-torn struggle and the sacrifices that Jewish mothers and fathers have made for their children to send them off into battle, that they too can relate to what it means to bring a child who is brought into a world that is so complex, not of his own volition, and to discover God's presence in that. So here's what Chaim Guri says. The ram came last of all, and Abraham did not know that it came to answer the boy's question. First of his strength, when his day was on the wane, the old man raised his head. Seeing that it was no dream and that the angel stood there, the knife slipped from his hand. The boy, released from his bonds, saw his father's back. Isaac, as the story goes, was not sacrificed. He lived for many years, saw what life's pleasures had to offer until his eyesight dimmed. But he bequeathed that hour to his offspring. They are born with a knife in their hearts. When we read the text today, when we seek a sense of profound connection to all that is created, it would be foolish for us to dream that creation of the worlds that we hope and intend for our future generations to be is replete with promise and with blessing and with goodness and with simplicity. There's so much that we do in our lifetimes to ensure that those who come from after us, those who follow us, are going to live a life that is a little bit easier, a little bit gentler, a little bit softer, a little bit kinder than ours. That our struggles and our challenges are endured because we create a life for those who follow that is a little bit smoother and a little bit easier towards that promised land. This idea and this text that we read today is not a denial of that, but it's a profound recognition that when we create the worlds that we hope to see for ourselves and those who follow us, there are simply unintended consequences. It's not that Abraham set out to offer his son as a sacrifice. That wasn't built into the code of the Torah. It's part of the drama of Abraham and who he is meant to become, that he must endure this test, if you will. But the consequence of the test is that the child who is brought up onto the altar of sacrifice, the child who is brought up with the promise that the world will be a little bit more whole and a little bit more kind and a little bit more gentle and understanding than the world that the father and the mother has experienced, is born with something so terribly tragic, something so terribly powerful. In the words of Chaim Guri, a knife. In our words, a sense that creation is not complete without some struggle, without some obstacle to overcome. And so as we're reading our text today, as we're journeying together through our prayers, where is that struggle that we contend with for us? Where is the altar of sacrifice that God calls us to bring our futures to? And where do we wait? Because we have a story that tells us that the angel comes at just the right time. Where do we wait before the tragic consequences of that test are manifest? That we hear the blessing that we can change, that God can change, that our future can change. This is the text that we wrestle with. And this is the God that we are meant to wrestle with when we hear Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov. It is very much a God of calling. It is very much a God of divine wrestling. But it is also the God of Isaac, the God of struggle, the God of challenge. And hopefully, through our studies and through our prayers, that God of challenge is met and indeed softened and created with gentleness and created with kindness that we wish and hope for as a new year like this one begins. So let's take a moment, study deeply these texts of Akedat Yitzchak, the binding of Isaac, and confront the God of Isaac, the God of challenge, and where we might find the angel who is coming at just the right time to tell us to change. We open in our books to the word of the Torah reading. You'll find the Torah reading beginning on page 220. Page 220, Genesis 22. We call forward the first Aliyah.
ויעזור, ויגן ויושיע לכל החוסים בו, ונאמר אמן. הכל עבורות הטובות לתורה יעמדו. אליהו בן נתן בפגי ואשתו פשע, בת ישראל ופרידה ראשונים. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. ואתם הדבקים באדוני אלוהיכם, חיים כולכם היום.
Amen. Vayhi achar hadvarim ha'eleh ha'elohim nisa et Avraham. Vayomer elav Avraham vayomer hineni. Vayomer kagna et bincha et yechidcha asher achavta et Yitzchak belech lecha el eretz haMoriah. Vahelu sham leolah achar heharim. Asher amar elecha. Vayashkem Avraham baboker. Vayachavosh et Hamoro. Vayikach et shnei neirav ito. V'et Yitzchak beno. Vaykem et Seolah. Vayakam vayelech el hamakom. Asher amar lo Elohim.
יעמדו צביעת בן יצחק וחנה, להיברך אל בת שלמה וזיסל, לעלייה השנייה. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נושא התורה.
אמן. ביום השלישי וישא אברהם את עיניו וירא את המקום מרחוק. ויאמר אברהם אל נעריו, שבו לכם פה עם החמור, ואני והנער נלכה עד כה, ונשתחווה ונשובה עליכם. ויקח אברהם את עצי העולה, ויעצם אל יצחק בנו, ויקח בידו את האש ואת המאכלת, וילכו שניהם יחדיו. ויאמר יצחק אל אברהם אביו, ויאמר אבי, ויאמר הנני בני, ויאמר הנה האש והעצים, ויעשה לעולה. ויאמר אברהם אלוהים יראה לא עשה לעולה ביני, וילכו שניהם יחדיו.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת בחיי עולם, נטע בזכותנו. ברוך אתה בן שלמה ויהודית ואת אשתו משה בת ברוך וגיטל לעלייה שלישית. Top of page 222.
Amen. Vayavo el hamakom asher amar lo ha-Elohim vayiven sham Avraham et hamizbeach vayarok et ha'etzim vayakod et Yitzchak beno vayasem oto al hamizbeach mimala etzim vayishlach Avraham et yado vayikach et hama'achelet lishchot et beno. Vayikra elav malach Adonai min hashamayim vayomer Avraham Avraham vayomer hineni vayomer al tishlach yadcha el hanar v'al ta'aslo me'uma ki ata yadati ki yireh Elohim ata v'lo hasachta et bincha et yechidcha mimeni. Vayisa Avraham et enav vayar hine ayel achar ne'achaz basvach v'karnav vayelach Avraham vayikach et ha'ayel vaya'alehu le'olah tachat beno. Vayikra Avraham Shem hamakom hahu Adonai yireh asher yamer hayom Bahar Adonai yireh.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nasa lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam nata b'zchutenu. Baruch atah Adonai
יעמדו דניאל ישי בן ישראל ושרה רחל ואת אשתו אהרונה בת יוסף וטובה לעלייה רביעית.
Baruch hu et Adonai haborach. Baruch Adonai haborach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayikra Malach Adonai el Avraham Shenit min hashamayim Vayomer Binishpati ne'um Adonai Ki ya'an asher asita et hadavar hazeh velo chasachta et bincha et yechidecha ki varech avarechecha veharbe arbe et zarecha kechochvei hashamayim vechachol asher al sfat hayam vayirash zarecha et shar oivav v'yitbarchu vezarecha kol goyei haaretz ekev asher shamata bekoli vayashev Avraham el ne'arav vayakumu vayelchu yachdav el be'er shava vayashev Avraham bi'be'er shava.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
נתן בן ציון ויונתי ואת אשתו, אלקבת ורבקה לעלייה חמישית, top of page 224.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaBarach.
ברוך אדוני המבורך
Baruch Adonai HaBarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bracha banu mikol ha'amim. Natan lanu et Torto. Baruch ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. La yehi acharei הדברים האלה ויגד לאברהם לאמור הנה ילדה מלכה גם היא בנים לנחור אחיך את עוז בכורו ואת בוז אחיו ואת כמואל אבי ארם ואת חסד ואת חזו ואת פלדש ואת לידלף ואת בתואל ובתואל ילד את רבקה שמונה אלה ילדה מלכה לבנים אחר אברהם ובקשו ושמה ראומה ותלד גם היא את חסד ואת גחם ואת כחש ואת מחר
מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, נותן התורה.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ועולמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי וחיינו ביומי ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בדלה בדלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן ישמר אבא מבורך לעולם ולעולם יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה לעילה ולעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחה וחמתה דמירם ויאמרו יעמדו המגביה והגוללת לספר ראשון. Please rise. He knows. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל אני אדוני You may be seated. The maftir from the second Torah from the book of Bamidbar from Parashat Pinchas will be changed by Mr. Adam Braun. Dr. Adam Braun, sorry. I remember him like this. Top of page 226. Yamdo Gutman ben Yitzchak Ruben Veidit ואשתו הדיה בת יוסף ורבקה מפטירים חזקו חזקו.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaBarach.
ברוך אדוני
Baruch Adonai HaMelech le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai Noten
Amen.
Amen. ובחודש השביעי, באחד לחודש, מקרא קודש, יהיה לכם, כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו, יום תרועה יהיה לכם. ועשיתם עולה לריח ניחוח לאדוני, פר בן בקר, אחד העיל אחד, כבשים בני שנה, 7 ימים. ומנחתם סולק בלולב השמן, 13 לפרשני, 20 לעיל, ועשרון אחד לכבש אחד, לשבעת הכבשים, וזריזים אחד חטאת לכפר לכם, מלבד הולך הקודש, ומנחתם ולת תמיד, ומנחתם ונזכיהם כמשפטם, לריח ניחוח משל אדוני.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
יעמדו המגביה והגוללת לספר שני.
We rise once again as the second Sefer Torah is lifted and dressed. Zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. As the Torah is dressed, we may take our seats. The Haftarah is found beginning on page 228 in our Machzorim, and it is chanted this morning by Dr. Gary Dosick.
Thank you. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim, v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarin be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'Torah u'Moshe avdo, u'Yisrael amo, u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Ko amar Adonai, matzachein bamidbar, ham seride charev, haloch lahargio Yisrael. Merachok Adonai, nirali, v'ahavat olam ahavtich, al ken meshachti chesed. Od evnech v'nivneit, Betulat Yisrael, O Tadi Tupaich, Viatzat, Bimchol Mesachakim, O Titi Ramim, Behare Shomron, Natu Notim, Vechilelu, Ki Yesh Yom, Karu Notrim, Behar Ephraim, Kumu v'na'alet Zion, El Adonai Eloheinu, Kicho amar Adonai, Ranu li'Yakov simcha, v'tzahalu b'rosh hagoyim, hashmiu hallelu v'imru, Hosha Adonai et Amacha, et Sherit Yisrael. Hineni meviotam me'eretz Afon, v'kibatzti mi'artei haaretz, ba'miver ufiseach, haravi oledet yachdav, kahal gadol yoshuvu hena, bivchi yavohu, uvtachanunim, ovilem, olichem el nachal emayim, בדרך ישר, לא ייכשלו בה, כי הייתי לישראל לאב, ואפרים בכוריהו. שימו דבר אדוני גויים, והגידו ויהי ממרחק, ואמרו מזרעי ישראל יקבצנו, ושמרו כרועה עדרו, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלו מיד חזק ממנו, ובאו וריננו במרום ציון, ונהרו אל טוב אדוני, על דגן ועל תירוש ועל יצהר, ועל בני צאן ובקר, והייתה נפשם כגן רבה, ולא יוסיפו לדאבה עוד. אז תשמח בתולה במחול, ובחורים וזקנים יחדיו, והפכתי אבלם לששון בני חמתים, ושימחתי מגונם, וריוויתי נפש הכהנים דשן, וימי את טובי ישבעו נאום אדוני, כה אמר אדוני, קול ברמה נשמע נהי בכי תמרים, רחל מבכה על בניה, מענן להנחם על בניה כי איננו, כה אמר אדוני, מיני קולך מבכי, ועינייך מדמעה, כי יש שכר לפעולתך נאום אדוני, ושבו מארץ אויב, ויש תקווה לאחריתך נאום אדוני, ושבו בנים לגבולם. שמוע שמעתי אפרים מתנודד, יסרטני ויבשר, כעגל לא לומד, השיבני וישובה, כי אתה אדוני אלוהי, כי אחרי שובי ניחמתי, ואחרי היבדתי, ספגתי על ירך, בושתי וגם נכלמתי, כי נשאתי חרפת נעורי. הבן יקלי אפרים, אם ילד שעשועים, כי מדי דברי בו, זכור אזכרנו עוד, על כן המו מאי לו, רחם הרחמנו נאום אדוני. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור ככל עמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא, אדוני אלוהינו, ונאמנים דבריך, ודבר אחד משבריך. אחור לא ישוד ריקם, כי אל מלך נאמן ורחמן אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הנאמן בכל דבריו. רחם על ציון כי בית חיינו, ולעלובת נפש תושיע במהרה בימינו. ברוך אתה אדוני, ושמח ציון בבניה. שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו באליהו הנביא עבדך, ובמלכות בית דוד משיחך. במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו, על כיסו לא ישב זר ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו, כי בשם קדשך נשבעת לו, שלא ישבה נרו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן דוד, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום הזיכרון הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך, ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל. 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 ביום הזיכרון.
And Yashar Koah, thank you very much, Dr. Dosick. And to all of those who read Torah this morning, to Jamie Wanger, Talia Wanger, David Braun, Hannah Wanger, Judy Geller-Wolstein, and Adam Braun, thank you for lending your preparation and your commitment to bringing Torah to life and light in our community. We are appreciative of your contributions, as well as those who have also helped with the Torah service, to our Gabayim, to Howard Ader, and to Lou Euster, and to our incredible leadership with Yossi Dresner, Cantor Barron, for leading us through our tefillot this morning so far. Please turn to page 237, and let us recite a prayer for Israel as we transition from the Torah reading. We'll put the Torah away, and then we'll do the shofar service. So we read a prayer for Israel. Even though it's indented as if it is meant to be a congregational reading, I invite us all to read these words together. O guardian of Israel, we ask your blessings upon the people of Israel and the land of Israel. Bless them with peace, tranquility, and achievement. Bless them even as they have been a blessing to us. For they have nurtured our pride and renewed our hopes. They have gathered in our homeless. They have healed the bruised and the broken. Their struggles have strengthened us. Their sacrifices have humbled us. Their victories have exalted us. Their achievements have enriched us. They have translated into fulfillment the promises of your ancient prophets. They shall build the waste cities and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and drink their wine. Truly, they have made the wilderness like Eden and the desert like the garden of the Lord. Watch over it, we pray. Protect it from every enemy and disaster. Fulfill the prophetic promises which still await realization. Violence shall no more be heard in your land. There shall be no desolation within your borders. Zion shall be redeemed through justice, and they that dwell therein through righteousness. Amen. We turn to page 250. We call Adam Binder forward to recite the prayers of Ashrei.
Ashrei yoshvei veitecha, od yehallelucha selah. Ashrei ha'am shekachalo, Ashrei ha'am shadonai Elohav. Tehillah leDavid, aro mimcha Elohai hamelech, ve'avarcha shimcha leolam va'ed. Bechol yom avarchecha, ve'hala shimcha leolam va'ed. Gadol Adonai umhulol me'od. Veli gdulato ein cheker, dor lador yishabach ma'asecha, ugvrotecha yagidu, hadar kevod hodecha, vedivrei niflotecha asicha, ve'ezuz notecha yomeru, ugdulatecha asaprena, zecherav tuvecha yabiu, vetzid katcha yaranenu, chanun verachum Adonai. Merecha paim uvdol chased, tov Adonai lakol, berachamav al kol ma'asav, yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, bechasidecha yevarchucha, chevod malchutecha yomeru, uvrotcha yedaberu,
Leodien livnei Adam gevurotav, v'chod Adar malchuto.
Malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador.
Somech Adonai lechol hanoflim, v'zochef lechol hakfufim.
Einei chol Eloheach yesaberu, ve'ata noten lahem et achlam be'ito.
Poteach et yadecha, masbir lechol chai ratzon.
Tzadik Adonai bechol derachav, v'chasid bechol ma'asav.
Karov Adonai lechol korav, lechol asher yikrauhu ve'emet.
Retzon Yereav Yaseh, ve'et shevatam yishmar v'yoshiyem.
Shomer Adonai kol oavav, v'kol harshayim yashmin.
Tehilat Adonai yedaber pi, vivarech kol basar shem kodsho leolam va'ed.
V'anachnu nevarech ya, me'ata v'yad olam. Hallelujah. We call forward those honored with opening up the Arona Kodesh, and we find ourselves in the middle of page 252. We ask everyone to rise as the Sifrei Torah are returned to the Ark.
Yehalelu et Shem Adonai, ki nizkar Shemo levado, hodo haaretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren le'amo, tehillah lechol chasina le'ibnei Yisrael, am kirovo.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yisrael ve'orait, Kodesh Americhu, Yisrael ve'orait,
The Kodesh Averichu Haro.
Torah ora, Torah ora, Hallelujah. 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 Yisrael ve'oraita, Kodesh Aberichu, Hareho. Yisrael ve'oraita, Kodesh Aberichu, Haru. Torah ora, Torah ora, Hallelujah. 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 Yai, nai, 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 yai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Torah ora, Torah ora, Hallelujah. 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 Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam omed. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam omed. Al haTorah ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים. ובנוחו יאמר שובה אדוני רבבות אלפי ישראל. מצרים נלמד הזיקים בה לתומכיה מאושר. מצרים נלמד הזיקים בה לתומכיה מאושר. דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום. דרכיה דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך לשובע. השיבנו אדוני אליך לשובע.
Please take your seats for a moment before we begin the shofar service. So one of the many wonders of our day is Sirius XM radio. If you have it, it's actually a real wonder when you try to cancel it and they keep sending you to people to say, no. We're not going to let you go if only you pay this for satellite radio. But what's amazing about it is you can turn to seemingly limitless. I think they have 200 channels of different kinds of things. And often we move away from the news channels, which is a relief. We move away from the music channels, which seem to play the favorites continually. And we find our way to the comedy channels, which is, and the clean ones, which is very important, okay? Because I do still drive carpool frequently with my children, so we have to be very careful to make sure to find the one that doesn't have that language, which occasionally, I'm going to admit to you, it is Rosh Hashanah after all, and it's before Yom Kippur. One of those channels is on, and I quickly turn it, and my kids, look at me still with scorn. How could I do something like that to them? Poison their poor, impressionable minds. But instead, we do find the cleaner ones. And there was this incredible comedian talking about moving. And I thought it was so great because it's so very real. Because if you've ever experienced a move in your life, it goes something like this. You have all of this stuff. And you know that this stuff is something that at some point in your life you put away thinking that it would be useful in the future at some point. And then you make a move and you're like, I haven't used this in 20 years or more. And it's not nostalgic to me because it's just like an, old cooking pot or something like that. I am definitely going to donate it. I am going to leave it behind. And then the anxiety and the chaos of moving happens, and things start getting into boxes, and then eventually you run out of boxes, and you put them into black plastic bags, and then you realize once you get on the truck and you move to the new place that you're going to live, and then you begin to slowly unpack, and lo and behold, there it is. Sound familiar? It happens. It happens. So then it was this whole thing, which was the really funny part of the comedian to talk about how one grapples with that. And then me in high holiday mode thought, oh, that is perfect. Because that's exactly what we're doing here. We may not be moving from one location to another, but we are definitely taking a journey from one place in our mind, in our experience, in our hopeful destination of brighter tomorrows here. And the real task that we take upon ourselves throughout the holidays is, what change are we going to make? What is the thing that is going to be new for us this year that will confirm that this journey that we have willingly or sometimes by obligation taken will be any different than the place where we left? And that's what begins these 10 days of reflection, is this promise that we're going to do something different, and the recognition that it doesn't quite happen immediately, especially if you're trying to make a change of something profound. Now, I don't know if you've thought about that yet, but today is still a very good day to think about what is the one thing, if at the very least the one thing that this year is going to be a change for you. It's called Rosh Hashanah. And Shana is not about new. It's not the newness. It's about changing. Shinui. And when we want to make a change, something that's much bigger than just, maybe changing our diet habits a little bit differently, like what's popular at other times of the year, but really making a change in our character or the way that we see the world or how we treat other people. To make that kind of change means that you have to recognize that the stuff that gets thrown into the boxes that you're carrying from one place to the next may inadvertently or maybe purposefully show up in the destination. And the stuff that gets put in the bags isn't leftover tchotchkes that make their way into the attics, but they're very real things. Burdens, we call them. The burdens that we carry. And we talk about it now because the shofar blast is the call to recognize that the burdens that we carry may need to be released. The burdens that we carry may actually limit or hamper our ability to make the change as we envision it to be. And the psychological, the emotional, the physical journey that we're going to be taking over these days until we present ourselves at Yom Kippur with absolute clarity that the change that we are making is pure, it is genuine, it is sincere. It means that we have to take a good look at our burdens. Take a good look at the stuff that we're carrying. And the shofar blasts are the calls through this instrument that is found in nature. It's not hammered out of iron or brass. It's not a big drum, but it's something that's found in that which exists. Something that is not from our own creation. To recognize that the burdens that we have may in some ways be things that we carry that we too have not created, that we too have discovered exist, and that we've stuffed them into the boxes in those black plastic bags of our lives. So the tekiah blast that we hear is the first blast to remind us that these burdens are present, and that if change is possible, we have to know where we stand. And shvarim, which means brokenness, it is the capacity, incredibly healing and therapeutic capacity, but also the difficult capacity to let go. That if you're going to make a change, something really new is going to be present in your life in this year to come. You're going to have to make space for the newness, and that means to let go. So what are you going to let go of? When the shofar blasts shivarim, let them be blasts of letting go. And the truah is that wonderful realization. At that moment when the things that you're letting go of may not be all the things that you need to leave behind. That indeed, the reality is there are some burdens that we still have to carry. Whether they're burdens of relationships that are fraught with tension throughout our lives and we're not yet ready to let go of them because they still animate us. They still give us a sense of purpose, a sense of hope that we can make a change in those relationships. Or maybe it's the burdens that the way that we see the world is not precisely the way that the rest of the world would like for us to see it. And we have to pick that up because it is in that quest, that righteous quest to discover a sense of truth, a sense of justice in the world, that we have to pick that up. And the Truah notes are exactly that. They are the notes, the staccato notes, which challenge you, invite you, demand of you to pick up the burdens that you may have freely dropped through the blast of shivarim. And the Tekiah Gedolah, the great blast which concludes this moment, this ritual that we enter into of willful and purposeful change. The Tekiah Gedolah is the sobering and even inspiring recognition that we continue to make this journey with all the burdens that we carry, hopefully the burdens that are just enough for us to carry so that we can truly make the changes that we set for ourselves to be accomplished, to be realized, to be inspiring, and to be a blessing in this year to come. So let's turn to the shofar service. Let's hear the blasts of the burdens that we let go and which we take. We turn to page 245. We ask everyone to rise as we recite the blessing of the shofar. We call our Baal Tekiah, Avi Bialo. Together we recite the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lishmoa kol shofar. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who taught us the ways of holiness through your mitzvot, and has commanded us to hear the sound of the shofar. Tekiah. Shivarim teruah. Tekiah, Tekiah, Shivarim teruah. Tekiah, Tekiah, Shivarim teruah. Tekiah. Please turn with me on page 246. Let us read these beautiful words of poetry together in English at the top of the page. Give heed to the sound of the shofar, the shrill, quivering notes of the shofar, sounding its message of warning, its cry of alarm and awakening, urging us to labor together to combat war and violence. Accept the challenge to battle against fear, hate, and destruction. Remove from your midst all oppression. Banish all greed and contention. Give heed to the sound of the shofar, the blast that is blown, O my people. Tikiyah. Shivarim. Tikiyah. Tikiyah. Shivarim. Tikiyah. Tikiyah. Shivarim. Tikiyah. Together at the bottom of the page we read, give heed to the sound of the shofar, the loud clarion call of the shofar, bringing new hope to the suffering and strength to those stricken with sorrow, bringing to Israel assurance of healing, peace, and redemption. Renew your faith and devotion to God's Torah, people and land. Remember the covenant and fashion, a kingdom of law and compassion. Give heed to the sound of the shofar, the blast that is blown, O my people. Tekiyah. Truah. Tekiyah. Tekiyah. Truah. Tekiyah. Tekiyah. Truah. Tekiyah gedolah. Shua. Very beautiful. We remain standing as we continue with Chatzi Kaddish, page 266, and then we'll enter into a few moments of silent prayers. We begin our Musaf prayers this morning, which will be found on page 268, and will continue all the way through page 278.
Yitgadol,
Yitkadol,
v'yitkadosh,
Yitkadash,
Shemei Rabbah. Me'olemo, Divera, Yamelich Malchoteh. Bangala,
Uvis
As you're concluding your personal prayers, you may take your seats. So I'm not a big television watcher these days, which is kind of interesting because I think I spent like 12 years of my childhood glued to the television. But there are a few things, and this is also one of the wonders of our present time, in which you can watch television, you can watch a particular series back to back. They call it binge watching, which is sort of very troublesome to give it, because binging on something sort of implies that you are over-consuming beyond your capacity to fully digest what it is that you are watching or seeing or listening to or eating. So I have a show. It's a great show. It's called The Good Place. Some of you have said, thank you. It's really good. And they just started the 4th season, which makes it really, really good. So I had to do my part and review some of the shows. That's another great thing of the present time, is that if you thought you missed something, you just got to go back and it's right there. And I'm glad I did. Because if you know anything about the television show and you watch it, it's this kind of eschatological fantasy of what happens in eternity. And it's very well written, with all kinds of twists and turns. And then what you notice in the show is that there's some very good philosophy, very important moral philosophy that is woven into the episodes, including the one which I'm so glad I watched it because I missed it. You could be swept up in the show and just think it's more antics and they just have to keep writing new seasons because they're never really quite getting to the good place. And that's always a great conundrum of sort of aspiring to a place that you can never quite get. I wonder where they came up with that idea. And in it, one of the reasons that these seemingly good people, by every measure and estimation, are worthy of being in what is called the good place, are not being admitted is because they haven't acquired enough points. And what you learn throughout the show is that there might be something wrong with the system of points. What is the threshold between somebody who gets admitted into the good place or the bad place? That's what the show is all about. And in one of the scenes, you see a record book open and the tallying of an individual who by all rights would be deserving of being permitted to enter into the good place. Brought flowers for his grandmother who was ill and ailing. But the problem was that when that person bought the flowers under seemingly well-intentioned purposes, the problem was that those flowers were cultivated by indentured servants in some poor, dilapidated country that was then bought up by some shipping company that's headed by a billionaire who's known for occasionally making racist remarks, that's sold in a marketplace that works with illegal immigrants. So the person who just bought the flowers and had no consciousness of all these consequences was losing the points because they didn't buy from organic, fully employed, organically and economically sustainable farms and shipped through corporations that maintain a purity of moral responsibility. And what the show plays with is a very simple message out of that. Human life is complex. It's so easy when we open up this book and we enter into the prayers that we're now about to spend a few minutes exploring, learning from, grappling with, that leave us with the sense that if only we made the right choices, the good place awaits our arrival. And yet the world is so terribly complex. And the complexity of our world and the humanity that we experience is only growing more and more complex. Here's our message. It's our message that begins on page 279. It's this powerful message called Hineni. Here I am. There's no answer that can be found without that as the first response. It doesn't mean that you have to ensure that all of your investments and all of your purchases at the market and all of your daily busyness, which help you to sustain your lives, isn't going to be swept up in some kind of complicated moral controversy. That's gonna happen. It's unavoidable. But what the message leaves us with, and what these words invoke from within us, is a sense of presence. Being here, Hineni. Which means that when we discover things are more complicated than they seem, we're not to turn a blind eye. We're not to descend into some kind of blissful comfort, pretending that our actions don't have consequences. We're not meant to hope that each and every step that we take in these lives towards goodness, even though they trip and stumble over sometimes the sufferings of others, gives us permission to ignore them. On the contrary, Hineni, we are here now, and it is being fully alive that enables us to take full responsibility. That's a tremendous task, and boy, there are a lot of words that we're going to read and explore, going to get lost in, be distracted by. Hold on to this word, Hineni, as we make these journeys together. Where are you found here now? We do that by asking our Chazan to lead us in preparation of these words. Once again found on page 279. And this is our practice as the Chazan makes his way forward to the bima to lead for us and with us these Musaf prayers. Please rise as you reach, no, sit down. Please rise when he reaches your row. We've done this before. That's how important it is. Rabbi, when they taught us in rabbinical school, you have to know how to do this and do that. I got an A- in that class. As the Chazan makes his way forward, row by row, we'll slowly rise together. And if you've not yet risen, consider Hineni. How will you be here? How will you be here now? How will you cut through the complexity of this very tumultuous world and find your response is sacred, is holy, is purposeful, and is filled with that intention towards goodness. 279, the Hineni prayer.
Helni mi mas, ni Rosh v'nifchad, mi pachad yoshev tilut Yisrael. Bati lamod ulhitchanein lefanecha alamecha Yisrael asher shalachoni ve'af al pi sheini chedai ve'agun lechach lachen avakesh mimecha Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Adonai Adonai El Rachom V'Chanun Elohei Yisrael Shana Yom Menorah Heyena Matzliach Darki Asher Ani Holech La'amol Levakesh Rachamim Alai Ve'al Sholchai Vehi Ratzon Milfanecha Adonai Elohei Avraham Yitzchak ve'Yaakov Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora El Elyon Eye Asher Eye Shetavot Tfilati Lifnei Chisei Chevodecha Bavur Kol HaTzadikim VeHaChasidim HaTemimim VeHaYisharim Kavod Shimecha Hagadol ve'hanoera Ki ata shomeya Merachamim Ata Shomea Tefillah Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Mechanoro El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'konei Hakol V'zocher Chasdei Avot U'mevi Goel Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Me'ayah Misod Chachamim U'nevonim U'milemed Dahat Mevinim Eftecha fi B'tefilot Tachanunim Lechalot U'lechanein B'nei Melech Malchei Amlachim V'Adonei Adonim Zochreinu Lechaim Melech Hafetz B'Chaim V'Chotmeinu B'Sefer HaChaim L'Manecha Elohim Chaim V'Chotmeinu B'Sefer HaChaim Moshiach Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Baruch Magen Avraham Amen.
You may take your seats.
Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai Mechayei Metim Atah Rav Lehoshia Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed Mechayei Meitim B'Rachamim Rabim Somech Novim B'Rovei Holim U'Matir Asurim Omechayei Emunato L'Shenei Avar Hayot meitim Baruch Atah Adonai Baruch Shemo Mechayei HaMeitim
Amen. My dear friend Sandy just asked, do you have to you have to have one of these tickets, Rabbi? I said, yeah, I have one of these tickets, and I have my ID, pat down, TSA, take my shoes off, liquids over 3 ounces are questionable, all of it. Oy, wow. There's a lot of stuff to get into this space. And boy, these tickets really do mean a lot more than you thought they might have meant before. I want to tell you just one of my favorite stories about the 19th century jurist Oliver Wendell Holmes. I mean, really, like, extraordinary time in history. Brilliant, brilliant thinker. Very quotable. He said once, the life of the law is not logical, but experiential, which we could spend an hour talking about. That the rules that we have, the guidelines that we set for ourselves, aren't based on a rationality that we conceive of in our minds, but by experience, by the wisdom that is gained by the world that reacts to us and that we react to. So the story about Wendell Holmes is that he was traveling from the Supreme Court back to his home on the train, and he forgot his ticket, which we can relate to if you forgot your ticket today. So frantically, he begins looking in his suit pockets. He opens up his briefcase. He's ruffling around, looking at every piece of paper and not finding his ticket. The conductor comes up to him, knows who this great man is, and says, "Don't worry about it, Your Honor. We know who you are. Don't worry about your lost ticket. You'll find it when you get home, and all you have to do is the next time that you're on the train, just bring us the ticket. You're good for it." And Justice Holmes had the most perfect response. As he continued to rifle through his pockets, he said, "You see, the question isn't, where is my ticket? The question is, where am I going?" Take a moment. Look at the words of Unatane Tokef a little differently. That's what we're about to recite. They begin on page 282. These are awe-inspiring words. Terrible words. Terrible in the sense of what the word means. Who will receive a blessing or a curse in this year to come? And we go through the litany. And the part of us wants to ask the question, where will I be in the list of who will live and who will die in the year to come? And I ask you to think about it a little differently this year. Don't think about the Unatane Tokef as a pronouncement, as a judgment, as an indictment. Look at it like Justice Holmes and ask the question, where am I going? These are all experiences that some of us have so profoundly and so real as a part of our lives, our experience. We know what it means to suffer and to rejoice this way. But the question isn't, what is your fate? The question is, what journey are you taking, knowing all of this experience that you have with you? And while the Unatane Tokef prayer, as you hear, says, but, tefillah, teshuvah, tzedakah, these prayers that we engage in, this act of reconnection and of forgiveness, of redeeming ourselves with those in the world around us and with our God, and of tzedakah, of righteous behavior in this year to come, that somehow that is going to avert the decree. It may soften the severity of our real appraisal of what this year and what this time means for us right now. But it only matters if you ask the question of where you are going. Sure, it should be on a journey with prayer and with repentance and with righteous behavior. Yes, those are the bare minimum. Hold on to your tickets. Hold on to them carefully as these words fill our holy space. and ask yourselves the question, tickets in hand, where are we going? Where are we going together? Turn to page 282. We open up the Arona Kodesh. We ask everyone to rise. Une Tanetokev.
ונתן תוקף קדושת היום, כי הוא נורא מהיום. תנשא מלכותך, ויקום בחסד כיסאך, ותשב עליו באמת. אמת, כי אתה הודיון ומוכיח, ויודע בהר. וחותם וסופר ומונה, ותזכור כל הנשכחות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, ומאליו יקרא, וחותם יד כל אדם בו. ובשופר גדול ייתקע, וכל דממה דקה יישמע, ומלאכים יחפזון, וחיל רדה יוחזון, ויאמרו הנה יום הדין, לבכור על צבא מרום מדין, כי לא יזכו עיניך בדין בדין, כי בקרות רוען דרו, מעביר צונו תחת שבטו.
King David, and his poverty, the deep goodness is gone, the doctor's gifts of the Holy Leon. The chief throne,
בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום
כיפור יכתבו, בראש השנה יכתבו, וביום צום כיפור יכתבו.
בראש השנה ייכתבון, וביום צום כיפור יכתבון, כמו יאמרו וכמה v'kitzo, umilo v'kitzo, mi v'reish, mi v'mayim, mi v'cherev, umi v'chayo, mi v'rov, umi v'tzamo, mi v'rash, umi v'magefa, mi v'chaniko, umi v'sekilo, Rosh Hashanah yikatenu, Yom Kippur yechatenu, Rosh Hashanah yikatenu, Yom Kippur yechatenu. Noah, mi taref, mi sharlev, mi tiasar, mi eoni, mi asher, mi shofer, mi yaro.
As the ark doors are closed, we remain standing for the Kedusha, page 288.
משרתיו שואלים זה לזה, איה מקום כבודו, לאומתם ברוך יאמרו. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו.
נצחים. Please take your seats as we continue V'chol Ma'aminim, page 292.
האוחז ביד מידת משפט וכל מאמינים שהוא אל אמונה הבוחן ובודק גנזי נסתרות וכל מאמינים שהוא בוחן כליות הגואל ממוות ופונה משחת וכל מאמינים שהוא גואל חזק וכל מאמינים מאמינים שהוא וכל מאמינים מאמינים שהוא וכל מאמינים מאמינים שהוא וכל מאמינים מאמינים שהוא וכל מאמינים וכל מאמינים שהוא גואל חזק שהוא גואל חזק אדם יחיד לבאי עולם אדם יחיד לבאי עולם וכל מאמינים שהוא דיין אמת הגוי אשר וכל מאמינים שהוא וכל מאמינים שהוא וכל מאמינים שהוא וכל מאמינים שהוא היודע יצר כל יצורים וכל מאמינים שהוא יוצרם בבטל הכל יכול וחויל המחד וכל מאמינים שהוא כל יכול וכל מאמינים שהוא וכל מאמינים שהוא וכל מאמינים שהוא וכל מאמינים שהוא ובכן תן פתח אדוני אלוהינו על כל מעשיך ואימתך על כל מה שבראת ויראוך כל המעשים וישתחוו לפניך כל הברואים ויעשו עולם עבודה אחת לעשות רצונך בלבב ושלם כמו שידענו אדוני אלוהינו שהשלטון לפניך עוז בידך וגבורה מימינך ושמך נורא על כל מה שבראת. תהילה לרעך ותקווה לדורשך ותביטחון פה למייחלים אלוך ובכן תן כבוד.
We're on page 298.
ותמלוך אתה אדוני לבדך על כל מעשיך בהר ציון משכן כבודך ובירושלים עיר קודשך ככתוב בדברי קודשך ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהי ציון דור ודור הללויה קדוש אתה ונורא שמך ואין אלוה מבלעדיך ככתוב ויקבע אדוני צבאות במשפט והאל הקדוש נקדש בצדקה ברוך אתה אדוני המלך הקדוש.
Would you like some more davening, Rabbi?
I love to pray.
Okay.
But you know what? I love nigunim. They are just so moving. Sometimes prayer without words really helps us connect.
Let's do that. Yai lai lai, lai lai lai, yai lai lai, lai lai lai,
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la.
I have had the extreme privilege of standing under many chuppot in the past year. And one of the special moments is actually before the chuppah when we're gathered around the table finishing up the signing of the ketubah. And I asked the parents to come and stand around the bride and the groom. And I give the parents permission to enter into a moment in which they can offer a prayer for their children. Since the ceremony itself does not have a place for the parents, there are ways that sometimes parents weave their way into the moment. Certainly standing under the chuppah is a tremendous honor and gift. But to say words to your kids, as they're about to take this step, no longer being your child alone, but now being the most important part of the life of another. It's this great opportunity to talk about what a moment like this means. And I talk about the sense of independence that has happened. Talk about from the moments that our children take their first steps till we send them off to school with backpack slung across their shoulder. Talk about the moments that they complete fantastic achievements in education, that they develop enough confidence and enough pride, and they are imbued with enough love to make their way out into the world. That is indeed one of the greatest blessings that parents have for children, is to watch their children take that step into the world fully independent. And then we talk about how that independence is so complete. It's overflowing. There is enough love inside of the child at that moment that cannot possibly be contained by just the self alone. So it is in that moment that the bride turns to the groom and the groom turns to the bride. And they look deeply into each other's eyes and they say, I am not completely myself without you. There's enough love in themselves to know that they can be in the world without being complete unless there is another to hold them, to cherish them, to urge them, to challenge them, to love them. And the parent's greatest gift is to watch that moment. God willing, if you have not seen that moment, you will have the privilege. And if it's not for yours, then you can be privileged to see in the circle of close friends and loved ones what it means to see those whom you raise walk in the world with complete independence. But that independence is not a selfish independence. It is this incredible journey, transition from independence to interdependence. It's not codependence, God forbid. That was a term that we used to use about all kinds of problematic relationships that exist in the world. It's about interdependence. That to be fully loved and to love fully is to be bound up in the life of others in that way. I'd like to think about this part of the Musaf service, which is far more in presentation than it is of prayer. That we are like what our tradition teaches us a little bit differently with the wedding moment. We know that Shabbat is like a union between us as individuals and as with God. But I'd like to think of this moment as us once again being eagerly anticipating, standing steps before the chuppah, receiving the blessing of parents, and this, the blessing of generations of parents, of the divine parents, that give us blessings, not of independence to become fully realized selves, but of interdependence. And this prayer and presentational experience is how we make those steps, by first recognizing that our independence is fully realized in the lives of others. That is what Malchuyot is about. This Aleinu prayer, which we find on page 304. And as these words are uttered in our midst, as we defer ourselves in body and in spirit to the presence of those that have given us the privilege of independence, have loved us enough to become independent, we reaffirm that it is in our independence that we can reach out into the world and find others to strengthen the bonds which connect us, help us to become interdependent, to help us move from the takers in the world to the givers in the world. So we'll rise. Page 304 for the great Aleinu.
לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא מראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמות, שלא שם חלקנו וגורלנו ככל להמונם.
Please take your seats.
Elohim emet, u'devarcha emet, v'kayom lad, Baruch atah
Amen. We rise together as we hear the shofar blast, calling us to awareness of this newly rediscovered interdependence we have for each other and with our God. Tekiah. Shivarim Trua.
Sit up here.
Tekiah. Tekiah. Shivarim Trua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shivarim Trua. Tekiah. Please take your seats.
The ladder.
Yai lai lai, lai lai lai. Yai lai lai, lai lai lai. Yai lai lai, lai lai lai. La 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 lai 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 lai. Ya la lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai, lai lai lai. Yai lai lai, lai lai lai. Yai lai lai, lai lai lai. La 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 lai 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 lai. Ya la lai 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 lai. Yai lai, ya la 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 lai 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 lai. Ya la 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 lai 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 lai. Ya la 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 lai 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 lai. La 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 lai 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 lai. La 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 lai.
Sometimes some of the most anxious experiences we have are when we think that what we do is going to be seen by other people and judged negatively. You know, I wonder why everybody has to dress so nicely, and I know this with my kids. They're like, I just want to go to the high holiday services in my jeans. I said, you cannot go to the high holiday services in your jeans. That is not the way that we need to be dressed for Rosh Hashanah. And then they look at me quizzically like, well, how is that supposed to? No, you are supposed to wear a suit and a tie, and it is supposed to look nice, your very best, because what would people say if they saw the rabbi's kids coming to the synagogue dressed in jeans? They're going to get me later for this, like how they do it. Oh, hi, Max Cohen, how are you? It's good. You are dressed perfectly. There's something about this kind of crazy idea of interdependence that is held in balance, challenged by the idea that how we are seen by others matters. When you stand under a chuppah, young couples replete with love, only seeing the very best. Do not need a message from the rabbi. There will be a day, once upon a time, in which you will see the person for all of their ugliness. That's just not the message that you give at that moment. But what you give in that moment is the fact that you see each other for the people that you truly are, for everything that makes up who you are. That is the truest expression of love. We have romance, we have fantasy, we have lusts. There's so many ways that we could see other people, but to see people lovingly is to see them with eyes that are open to the people that we hope they become. The promise of the people we hope they become. Holy interdependence is that incredible alchemy of potential and realism mixed together to see the people that we care about, however wide those circles are, for everything that they represent, for everything that they can become. To know that all of the struggles and the stumbles may be hard to see in the best possible light, but to know that forgiveness and understanding are the greatest, most purifying gifts that we share with each other. That's what sacred interdependence is about. And we have that in these next verses. Because we see Abraham and Sarah and Isaac and Rebekah and Rachel and Leah and Jacob and all the generations that came before us, and we see them through our eyes for all of their failures and their incredible achievements. And they are looking at us too. And when we hear these verses, we ask, what do they really see? Not what we'd like them to see, but what do we really see through their eyes? These verses of Zikaron are more than just memories. They are a sacred accounting. A sacred accounting of what we see in others and of what others see in us. And our privilege in sharing those in loving relationships to know exactly what we see between each other. We continue with the Zichronot services on page 314.
זוכר כל הנשכחות, אתה הוא מעולם, ואין שכחה וכיסא כבודך, ועקדת יצחק לזרעו, היום ברחמים תזכור. ברוך אתה אדוני, זוכר הברית.
We rise as the shofar is blown. Once again, page 320. Tekiah. Shvarim Trua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim Trua. Tekiah. Tekiah. Shvarim Trua. Tekiah.
Areshet sifatenu, Areshet sifatenu, Yeram lefanecha heram b'nisan. Meivinu mazin, meivinu mazin, mavitu makshiv, mavitu makshiv. Meivinu mazin, mavitu makshiv. Lekol, 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 tekiatenu. Meivinu mazin, mavitu makshiv. Lekol, 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 tekiatenu.
Please take your seats.
Let's sing this one more time. Yai, lai, 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 ya la lai, 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 lai.
So all the blessing is done, and they're under the chuppah, and they're not being told about the clothes that they're going to wear in the new life that they are making together, and what happens when the toothpaste cap doesn't get replaced onto the toothpaste. That's okay. That's okay. That's for learning and loving and therapeutic visits back to the rabbi after the first year of marriage. So there's this one last thought. It's this idea, this profound recognition that the tomorrow that they create together is completely unknown. There is no certainty about what the tomorrow is going to bring. But the one thing that does remain certain, that is so worthy of blessing, is like the words that we read in the Torah this morning, V'shnehem halchu yachdav. The two are going to walk together. Achdut, togetherness. Seeing our lives as inextricably woven into the lives of others, knowing that we cannot make journeys throughout this life without others by our side, is the most audacious and the most profound statement that we make about our humanity. We are not complete alone. But when we are together, all futures are possible. And whichever futures are manifest, the rough ones and the joyful ones, the sorrowful ones and the ones so overwhelmingly abundant in blessings, words fail to describe, are met together. That's the shofarot. When we hear the shofar blast for the last time for this Rosh Hashanah holiday, when we hear it, we ask for its blessings. We ask that the blessing of the shofar and its final resonance is one that brings us closer together. Page 326.
אתה שומע קול שופר ומאזין תרועה ואין דומה לך ברוך אתה אדוני שומע קול תרועת עמו ישראל ורחמם.
Amen. We rise together for the final shofar blast of this Rosh Hashanah. Tekiah, Shivarim Trua, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shivarim Trua. Tekiah, Tekiah. Shvarim Trua. Tekiah Gedola.
Areshet Sifateinu Yerav Lefanecha Yerav Benisa. Areshet Sifateinu Yerav Lefanecha Yerav Benisa. Meibinu Mazin Mavitu Mashi Lekol Lekol Tekiah Tekiah Teinu Utkavel Berachamim Berachamim Uvratzu Seder Shofroteinu.
Please take your seats and close your machzor for a few moments. We extend our profound gratitude to Avi Biolo for his beautiful sounding of the shofar. I thought Biolo sounded Italian, right? It sounds like really good, huh? It's Polish because it used to be something else. But he's a Baltikia, yeah? It sounds so better when we say it like that, you know? I wish the lilt and timbre of English had a little bit of Italian in it. We just have to say it in English and make it sound Italian to sound good. So I want to share a few words with you. They're really a culmination of study that I have been undertaking for several months. And they grew out of a class that I was teaching on the book of Bamidbar, which is a really complicated book of the Torah. Because it's all about these people that are making this journey, and along the way, it's fraught with complaints and with rebellion and with deception and with the earth swallowing people and all kinds of strange talking donkeys. And you're reading this book and you're trying to figure out and cut through it. What is really the message of the book? And one of the things that has been persisting in my thinking is that part of the people's journey from Mount Sinai, in which they stood and witnessed the presence of God, absolute truth, and the journey to the promised land where that absolute truth will be manifest, goes through this incredibly dark space. And as they do it, there's this sense of regression. Like the people go back, they're constantly complaining about how it used to be better in the place that they came. And I thought about this because I thought that regression is a very important psychological concept. We notice it in children. We can even identify it in adults as individuals. But as a society, can a society go through a regression as well? And my hunch is that there may be elements of that we're experiencing today. So in Rosh Hashanah, I'll be talking about how do we confront that? How do we confront the change, which is usually what regression is all about? The uncertainty that lays ahead and our capacity and our ability to respond to it. And then Yom Kippur to talk about it as it affects us. But to begin, you should know that we have to define who we are. And Jews are an anxious people. And this has certainly fueled the careers of writers like Philip Roth and Woody Allen and virtually every comedian under the sun. And we could maybe look at it and say it's our unique relationship with God. Or maybe it's our history of being a minority people constantly struggling for our survival. The connection to the Jewish people and anxiety is well known. So let's get a definition of anxiety. Here is one definition of anxiety. Anxiety is the overestimation of threats plus the underestimation of the ability to cope. That sounds like us. In fact, there was a historian, Simon Rabinowitz, who coined a term for this anxiety that Jewish people manifest. He called us the ever-dying people. We've made, in today's terms, anxiety an art form. But anxiety isn't just a Jewish trait alone anymore. This prevalence of anxiety is saturating the general culture too. This is an unprecedented moment. For those who study history, it is unprecedented. And it's captured in books like the San Diego State University professor Gene Twenge's book in 2018 called iGen. Our super connected kids are growing up less rebellious, more tolerant, and completely unprepared for adulthood. Our children are completely unprepared for adulthood. Now that is some good anxiety. But the book reveals through its study that, yes, the riskier and even life-threatening behavior of our children, of our teens, is plummeting significantly. Yet, lacking any real direction or guidance for what the world asks of them, our emerging young adults are anxious for what lays ahead on the horizon, responsible adulthood. The stunning truth is, we don't know what to model for them either. You see, our children today are spending their quality time trying to associate and make sense of their anxious lives, their anxious parents, their anxious world. And while we, their parents, are begrudgingly giving them cell phones and computers and iPads and this widespread access to infinite information, everything that they see reinforces this anxiety. Overestimations of threats and underestimations of an ability to cope. Where we assume that even this anxious bonding is at least a connection of some sort, studies are showing, and you know this, that screen activities are linked to more loneliness, and non-screen activities are linked to less loneliness. We Jews have a joke about this. There's these 4 women that are sitting on a park bench in Lake Balboa, and they're sitting silently, and all of a sudden, one of the women breathes in and heaves out an oi, oi. And some more silence emerges. The second woman takes a deep breath in, shakes her head, says, oy vey. And the third among them breathes and exhales. Breathes in, shakes her head, shrugs her shoulders, and says, oy vey is mir. And then the fourth one breaks the silence and says, I thought we weren't going to be talking about our children. Our children may be sitting on park benches together watching everyone's thrilling lives unfold before their very eyes. As voyeurs into other people's lives, our children must be wondering if who they are is just as much, if not in some way similar to the lives of others. Our kids are going to these lavish B'nai Mitzvah parties where the entertainment is over the top, to celebrate their place and their identity in our people. And there's more attention given to the screens. I dare say that some of you might be scrolling through your Facebook feed right now. All this watching turns into years of time spent peering into the lives of others. And we are now watching a generation of young people emerge who simply are not figuring out how to live lives on their own terms. Yes, today's youth are empowered with the same information we have to maneuver through the perils of modernity. Yet they lack the most significant tool vital to the interpretation of all this knowledge: wisdom. Meanwhile, we are impatiently looking for an answer. Not the answer, an answer. And so we look to the Rabbis of our day, to Google and to Facebook and to Twitter and the 24-hour news cycle to temporarily assuage our fears that these uncertain tomorrows don't have the answers necessary for living a holy life. Alexa really answers all. Answers, but no wisdom. Jewish anxiety is being supplanted by the anxiety of the greater culture. And anxiety is the response to a change when we're fearful that we can't adapt. It's an overestimation of the threat and an underestimation of our ability to cope. I highly doubt that the makers of the iPhone at Apple Computers or the folks at Amazon who built the Alexa device were thinking that these things would cause such anxiety. Instead of meeting the challenge, though, we are hiding behind the screens. We have constructed these elegant worlds of avoidance, shaded in blissful comfort, while the world rages aflame. Judaism is not the religion of anxiety. It is the religion of wisdom. And wisdom is much more than a how-to that is filmed in fast forward. Wisdom is not gained by peering into someone else's life or shouting into an empty room waiting for a calm voice responding to our anxious needs. Wisdom comes from meeting challenges, overcoming obstacles, and more often than not, meeting failure. Our kids are not having enough of these experiences. Perhaps it's been in our love for them. Perhaps it's been in battling our own anxieties, but maybe we have been protecting them too much. Greg Lukianoff and Jonathan Haidt recognize this lack of wisdom and overprotective sensibility in their studies reflected in the recent book, the late 2018 book called The Coddling of the American Mind. There they note, we adapt to our new and improved circumstances and then lower the bar for what we count as intolerable levels of discomfort and risk. By the standards of our great-grandparents, nearly all of us are coddled. Each generation tends to see the one after it as weak and whiny and lacking in resilience. Those older generations may have a point, they write. That's why it should shock us to hear that our kids will say when surveyed, "My life is not useful," with feelings of uselessness reaching all-time highs. Today's youth, quote, aren't even convinced that their education will help them get good jobs and give them information that they will need later. Fewer 12th graders today now believe that school will help them later in life. And fewer believe that doing well in school is important for getting a good job. Is it perhaps that our children don't see their place in the world that we have tirelessly, carefully, and even anxiously prepared for them? Who is teaching our children that their lives have infinite value? Overconnected, overstimulated, and underdeveloped. There's no Google search, no downloadable app, no clever vocabulary we've given our children or used for ourselves to pass on this wisdom. If our kids aren't seeing the usefulness of their lives, what good are all these comforts and security that we are giving them in our days anyway? The problem is uncertainty. The problem is what we see ahead of us is unclear, and the wisdom, as has always been for us as Jews, wisdom. Let's return to something we know that works quite well for times of uncertainty. Quite well. Religious communities. Religious communities don't merely exist as destinations for life cycle celebrations. Religious communities are centrifugal forces of meaning and connection. That's what they are. And the Jewish people have persisted throughout the millennia because we continue to prove in religious community the words of someone who is not of the Jewish people, Margaret Mead, and said, "Never doubt that a small group of people, thoughtful and committed citizens, can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Meaning and connections change the world. In Judaism, wisdom is our conduit of meaning and connection. What we do here really matters. It really matters. It's not just a quick 2-minute clip on the YouTube and move on to something else of interest. What we do here really matters. What we say here and what we do has a significant impact beyond the little shtetl of Densmore and Ventura Boulevard. We are well proven as a people to be the bellwethers of social change. We are or legoyim. We are lights unto the nations. And the moment our anxieties are met with wisdom and not with fear, but with what we call loving change, the world will surely follow. So our response is that our heritage is much more than long prayer services and insufferable appeals for money. We are ready here and prepared to make a difference in your life, the difference in the lives of all of us as a community. And we are prepared to make differences in the world around us. There's one essential piece of this loving change idea that we need to discuss. It's being comfortable with what we call the languages of Judaism. The languages of Judaism can help our children discover the treasures of our heritage and confront anxieties wherever they are manifest with real wisdom. But that is a language just like any other language. And it cannot be spoken occasionally, once or twice a year, a few times, when special moments arise. It requires practice. It requires depth. We may not be Hebrew speakers. We may not be Yiddish speakers, although it's having a revival in New York. But we can speak the languages of Judaism. What we need is nothing less than a total recommitment to this Jewish literacy. And from our languages of Judaism, we can ultimately reclaim our sacred wisdom, the solution to the anxieties of our day. To give you an example, my children attend the school up on the hill, and I am proud that the school has published this idea called the Portrait of a Graduate. It's a helpful conceit because it enables us, as parents of students in the school, to come to know what to expect from a Milken School education. Many schools do this, not only in the Los Angeles area, but across the country. But the goal is not to attain admission into the most prestigious universities, chas v'shalom. Any school would claim such a goal, let alone the staggering proposition of the economic consequences of that goal. Rather, the goal in the Portrait of the Graduate is to create responsible human beings, lovers of learning, and committed citizens of a grand and complex world. So what if Valley Beth Shalom had a portrait of a 21st century Jew? What would that look like? This Rosh Hashanah, let's think about our Judaism in these terms and see what we discover together. Sacred wisdom, sacred behavior, sacred family, and sacred presence. I imagine the model looks like this. We've got sacred wisdom. Committing to a life of Torah study is the definition of a good life. Very little of the models of human behavior today exemplify this goal. See, the good life is more than limitless free choice, unlimited streaming on our devices, Epicurean culinary delights, and tranquil beach locales with a servant bringing us a tequila with a freshly squeezed lime in it. Our rabbis have this vision of a good life, albeit limited. Thousands of years ago, they wrote, "This is the way of the student of Torah. Eat a crusty piece of bread, ration your drinking water, sleep on the ground, live a life of privation, exhaust yourself in Torah study. If you live in this life, if you live life in this manner, you will be happy in this world, and all will go well with you in the world to come." No. Sacred wisdom is not consumed like a salty, crusty piece of bread with minimal amounts of water. It is in a vibrant, dynamic community where nearly every day during the week, Torah is learned here. So you, all of us, make a commitment to learn Torah this year. Come on a weekly basis. Study on a periodic basis. Meet the sacred wisdom here. We are waiting for your story to be written into that grand narrative of our Torah for today and tomorrow. Second, we've got sacred behavior. It's Maimonides who offers us the sage guidance. One who settles in a city for 30 days is obligated to contribute to the charity fund, together with the other members of the community. One who settles here for 3 months must become obligated to contribute to the soup kitchen. One who settles there for 6 months becomes obligated to contribute clothing with which the poor of the community can cover themselves. One who settles there for 9 months becomes obligated to contribute to the burial fund for burying the community's poor and providing for all their needs of burial. This is not just theory. Taking responsibility isn't a mandated community service project. It is the total commitment to supporting the institutions that provide health and security for all of us, especially the most vulnerable among us. It's also the resource that we can reflexively embrace when we need it the most, when our needs are greater than we can handle alone. There is no anxiety in asking for help when you have done your part to help others. And when you invest time in the project of a community, you give more than you could ever expect to gain in return. We've got sacred circles of caring family. I was walking into the synagogue not too long ago, a few months ago, with my daughter. It was on a Shabbat morning, and we came up upon the conversation about Shabbat observance and synagogue participation in general. In sharing the goals and purposes of Shabbat observance, I simply offered her a conceptual frame for her and for me about why we do what we do and what are my expectations for her in her growing independence. Simply put, I told her, I want her to always have an idea of Shabbat in her mind. Whether it's celebrated in a synagogue, or with lighting candles and making kiddush at home, or with no ritual at all, I want her always to have the sense that one day out of 7 is vital to her physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being, and it also happens to be the way the world was created too. We've got a sacred presence with eternal values. Our heroes are Abraham and Sarah, who teach us to be a blessing in the world. Our teachers are Moshe and Aharon, who remind us that we are a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, that loving freedom and protecting the tradition and caring for the most vulnerable among us are what defines a good life. Our models are Miriam, whose response to God's presence is with dance and rejoicing with timbrel and drums. This Torah of ours teaches us a way. It is an antidote to anxiety. It is sacred mastery. The portrait of a 21st century Jew is mastered by overcoming the anxiety with sacred wisdom, sacred behavior, sacred family, and sacred presence. Tamar Chansky, the author who defined anxiety, teaches us what this mastery is. It is the act of shrinking fear by fact-checking and approaching the solution in small steps. The gifts of the Jews to the world is factually proven. Gifts of history, empathy, righteous action, loving family, and sacred time. Mind you, it's not an easy Judaism. It's not digestible in a couple minutes. But when we participate in this world that we are creating and passing on to our children and grandchildren, one clear message rings true. Judaism provides small and large steps to help us achieve mastery of our souls. Small steps begin here with learning, worship, sacred action, and connection. So, as Rosh Hashanah nears conclusion, the gifts that we begin to give ourselves through these days of reflection and permission to change, I hope you take on the change lovingly. Love the change. Between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, make a plan, some plan to change your behavior for the better. Small steps, and checking the facts that that change is possible. Because the most confident message of all that you hear reinforced in our sacred gathering is this: we have more than anxiety. We have Jewish wisdom. It's a wisdom that has shaped generations and generations of great human beings. You've got this. We've got this. Now let us begin together. Shana Tova. Continue page 330 as we conclude the Musaf prayers together.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu b'yamcha Yisrael, tfilatam b'ahava tegabel b'ratzon, u'tehil ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha, v'tachezena eineinu b'shuvacha l'tzion b'rachamim, baruch atah Adonai, המחזיר שכינתו לציון. עונים אנחנו לך הטוב כי לא חלו רחמך, והמרחם כי לא דמו חסדיך, מעולם קיווינו לך, ועל כולם יתברך ויתרומם שמך מלכנו תמיד, לעולם ועד. אבינו מלכנו, זכור רחמך וכמו שקסך. וכלי דבר וחרב ורעב ושבי ומשחית, ועוון ושמר ומגפה ופגע רע, וכל מחלה וכל תקלה וכל קטטה וכל מיני פורעניות וכל גזירה רעה ושנאת חינם. על כל בני בריתך, וכתוב לחיים טובים כל בני בריתך. וכל החיים יודוך סלע, והללו את שמך באמת. האל ישועתנו ועזרתנו סלע, ברוך אתה אדוני. הטוב שמך ולחנה להודות. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, ברכנו באמרך המשולשת, בתורה הכתובה על ידי משה עבדך, אמורה מפי אהרון ובניו כהנים, עם קדושך כאמור. יברכך אדוני וישמרך, יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך, יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. חג וחסד חיים לרחה ושלום ופרנסה טובה.
We rise as the ark doors are open, affirming today as the day we begin celebrating not only the creation of the world, but changing anew. Hayom ta'amsenu. On this day, give us strength. We sing together, page 336.
Hayom, 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 hayom te'amseinu. Amen. Hayom, 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 hayom tivarchenu.
Amen. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom.
Hayom, hayom tigalenu.
Amen. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom. Hayom tishenu letova. Amen. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom. Hayom tikvenu lechayim tovim. Amen. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom. Hayom tishma shabbatenu. Amen. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom tikabel berachamim. Ratzon et tefilatenu. Amen. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom. Hayom, hayom. Hayom tikvenu b'mitzvah. Amen.
וצדקה וברכה ורחמים וחיים ושלום יהיה לנו ולכל ישראל עד העולם. ברוך אתה אדוני עושה השלום.
Remain standing as we continue Kaddish Shalem, page 338.
יתגדל ויגדל שמי רבה ילמד יברכנו וימליך מלכותי בחיי חונם ימיכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב האמרו יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולם יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתשמע וינשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשו בריחו לעילה ולעילה מכל ברד בשירת תושפחת ונחמת דמירם ימה והימרו יתקבל צולות הון ועד הון כל ישראל קודם אבן משמעי והימרו יהי שלום רבה מן שמיים וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל והימרו
Amen.
עושה שלום במרומה
הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל יעשה שלום Aleinu, page 342. Please take your seats. We're going to do Ein Keloheinu.
Et getoret hasami.
Now we rise for Aleinu. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. 342.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונה. הכתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא, 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 יהיה אדוני אחד. ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא,
ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. We ask anyone who is in a period of mourning throughout these holy days to remain standing as we turn to page 346. Custom in our community is that whoever comes into the embrace and fold of our loving community in need of reciting prayers to confront grief and loss, that they don't do so alone. So if you find yourself seated near someone standing alone, to please stand next to that person as we recite the words of Kaddish Yatum once again, page 346. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbi, ve'alma tivrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, pagalau v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbi mevorach le'olam u'amei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Vitadar, vit'aleh, vit'halal, shemei kudsha berichu, le'ela ule'ela, min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. As you take your seats, we call forward past president of our congregation and distinguished member of our leadership, Norm Levine, to greet us and make a few brief announcements as we conclude together today.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shana Tova. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I want to thank everyone who made this service this morning so lovely and meaningful, to Rabbi Hoffman, Cantor Sparron, and Barak, to Dr. Noreen Green and the beautiful Valley Beth Shalom Choir, Doug Peck on the piano, to our shofar soloist Avi Bialo, to everyone who assisted, the Bima coordinators, the floor coordinators, the ushers, and everybody else who worked so hard today so that we could take a day and not work. So thank you to all of you. Also thank you to Senator Henry Stern for being with us today. You've heard all through the holidays about tickets, about parking, and you've all gotten in, and you've all sat down, you've all parked, so I don't need to repeat all that, except for one thing. Kol Nidre, a week from tonight, is the one time of the entire year that we all arrive at the same time. It's the only time in the year that the conservative Jews arrive on time. So there'll be a lot of us coming all at once at 6 o'clock for the first service and at 8:45 for the second service, and we'll have to go through the new security. So please arrive a few minutes early. We've gotten through pretty easily for Rosh Hashanah, but Kol Nidre may be a little more complicated. Give yourselves a few minutes to get in and be seated so we can start the services on time. Also, on Yom Kippur, remember Project Pushcart. Rabbi Hoffman told us that it's the obligation of a member of the community to make sure everyone is fed and has clothing. So please remember to bring food for Sova and new socks, t-shirts, and underwear for veterans. Collection stations are near the Cinder parking lot and the Felt Garden. Don't do what I do every year, walk out to the car Yom Kippur morning and remember I'm supposed to take something. Begin tonight, put stuff in your trunk, collect it during the week, and bring it with you on Yom Kippur for Sova and for the veterans. This afternoon, 4 o'clock, is Tashlich at Balboa Lake at the Anthony Bielenson Park. You heard all the puns yesterday. I'm not going to repeat them today, but thank you. But bring some bread and bring your dogs and have a lovely afternoon at the lake. Also, we have regular Mincha and Maris services tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. in the Weiner Chapel. And one last reminder, please do not leave through these doors in the sanctuary for security reasons. Please leave down the hall and out the regular door. On behalf of the officers, directors, and staff of Valley Beth Shalom, Shana Tova.
Thank you for just a delightful presentation of the announcements, and I really admire and appreciate your good sense that we still arrive on time, even for Kol Nidre services. It's a promise. It's a promise. So if it's true, we all have to arrive a little early. That's nice. So that's a really great thing. Thank you all to celebrating a joyous holiday. I hope the rest of your day is sweet. I hope the days in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are meaningful. Let's join together by standing up. If you want to sing Adon Olam as we conclude, please join us. It's found on page 348.